Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're on season 4, episode number 13. This is the Songs edition, Andy.
Yes,
Andy, how are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Good. It's February 10th, 2023. This is the Songs edition. We're going to do an album review and talk about some concerts, some music, some trivia, and no trivia per se, but there's some good information on this album review that we're going to do today. It relates to
Fun
Alice
facts.
in
We like to call it.
Chains.
Some fun facts. Yes.
A lot of fun facts. It's Alice in Chains. We haven't done much of their album reviews. They're a Seattle Pacific Northwest band, heavy into the grunge when the grunge scene first came on. But this is like round 2, phase 2 of the band we're going to cover today. The album is Black Gives Way to Blue. Black Gives Way to Blue. We'll get into the meaning of the album, the meaning of the song, the title, a lot of lyrics and stuff. And this is, I wouldn't call this like a headbanger album. It's got some heavy metal. It's got some slow songs. It's got some slow riffs. But it's
really grunge, I guess.
It is grunge, yep. And it's got some real good sounds to it. It's a Jerry Cantrell is where the band moves into Jerry Cantrell. Black Gives Way to Blue is the 4th studio album by American rock band Alice in Chains, released September 29th, 2009. It was actually released on the 17th year anniversary of their second album, Dirt, D-I-R-T, Dirt. That was a huge album. So this is 17 years later. They release it. It was also the first record without original lead singer Lane Staley, who died in 2002. So their band was huge, big in the grunge scene. Staley dies in 2002. The band essentially breaks up. Now it's 2009. So we got to account for this 7-year difference. First album also with new vocalist and rhythm guitarist William Duvall. William Duvall shares vocal duties with lead guitarist, vocalist Jerry Cantrell. Now, Cantrell actually sings most of the songs on the album. He's basically the lead singer, lead vocalist, but they do a lot of harmonizing and they play a lot together. Duvall really has one song that he does solo. All the rest are those two together or Cantrell only. Now, in the year 2010, Revolver magazine, the Golden Gods Award, named this album the album of the year in 2010. And so interesting stuff here. So the band reunited after this 2002 death. They all took it so hard. Now, of course, none of them were in therapy. None of them got, the help that they needed. They kept it inside. They all pushed it down. The famous kind of Jerry Cantrell thing is let's not deal with it. Let's push it down. And then on our next few albums, let's have our therapy sessions in the lyrics of all these songs.
Yeah.
That's the way he deals with it. That's the way they deal with these things. These songs and lyrics are very emotional and very deep. So
not the first time you've heard that from an artist when they do that. I remember guys in the therapy, the next album.
What's that?
You hear that a lot with bands. An artist member will die and no one says anything. They just put all their therapy in the next album.
Yeah, this is it. This is if you want to, get into some heavy stuff and some heavy topics of things. This is it. And so he dies in 2002. They're basically broke up. The band reunited in early 2006 when William Duvall became their new singer. Now, the plan was just to rehash the old music and the old songs.
Yep.
And so they got together. They started demoing some new songs. The band did not have a record label at the time. So they started recording, and the album was funded by Jerry Cantrell and drummer Sean Kinney. Those guys got out their checkbooks and said, well, let's put this thing together. We'll get a label. We'll get some way to release it and get it out there. But let's just put our own money together, write a check, and start paying for the recording sessions and start this thing going. They were already a very successful band. So on February 18th, 2005, This is 2005. I just got done saying they reunited in 2006. But guess what led to all this? The death of Lane was 2002.
Yep.
But Jerry Cantrell and bassist Mike Inez, we've talked about Inez on various different shows, and drummer Sean Kinney reunited to perform a benefit concert in Seattle for the victims of the tsunami disaster that struck South Asia in 2004. Remember the tsunami in Thailand 2004 at the end?
Yes.
That claimed all those lives and whatnot. Well, some bands got together in Seattle to raise money for the survivors and whatnot. So they said, let's get together to do a benefit concert. Let's get the guys back together and do this. And so they got together. They also did a VH1 Decades of Rock live concert that honors fellow musicians in Seattle, Ann and Nancy Wilson.
Yep.
And so they introduced Comes with the Fall, William Duvall, lead vocalist for Comes with the Fall. That's his background. Now, Andy, are you familiar with that band at all?
Comes with the Fall? I've never heard of them.
I had never heard of them. Now, he got to know William Duvall, Jerry Cantrell did, because they opened for them years ago on a couple of tours. They got to know, and William Duvall became good friends with Jerry Cantrell over the years. So they did a couple short United States club tours, a couple festivals in Europe, a brief tour in Japan. They bring on William Duvall to be the lead singer for the reunion concerts, as Duvall was also an old friend of Cantrell's. Let's see. So when Comes with the Fall was the opening act when Jerry Cantrell was solo in 2001 and 2002 on his Degradation Trip tour. He did an album called Degradation Trip on a solo effort. The opening band was Comes with the Fall. This was 2001 and 2000. So that's how they became friends. Now, the reunion concerts had a very interesting, what are we going to do going forward? And Andy, you have touched on this before. What do you do when your main player in a band dies? Do you rename the band? What do you do?
Yeah, like we said, a lot of times when the lead singer dies or you replace them, it's almost a different band. So the sound is different. He did sing a few songs, so they're kind of in that in between. They could change the name, be someone different, or just carry on and hope it kind of blends in.
And so they did some of these reunion concerts, and they said, you know what, we really want to celebrate what we did in the past and in the memory of our friend. But we've played with some singers that can actually bring it, quote, and do their own thing without being a Lane clone, a Lane Staley clone. We don't want someone to replace him. Number one, the fans wouldn't like it. And number two, I think it's tough to do because he has such a distinctive voice. They said one option was, do you take the Led Zeppelin approach? Someone dies, you never play again, you're done. John Bonham died, Led Zeppelin never did anything else. So you do that route? So that's the approach we've taken for a lot of years. And they finally said, let's give it a shot. Let's try something. We're willing to take a chance on this. It's completely a reunion because it's the three of us who are left back together again, but it's not about separating and forgetting. It's about remembering and moving on. So they wanted to remember and move on. And the album title, Black Gives Way to Blue, is the actual. Here's a good note. Susan Silver and Chris Cornell were married. They had a 9-year-old daughter, Lily, at the time. Asked her mother, "Mom, what does Black Gives Way to Blue mean?" Silver suggested, "Why don't you call Jerry Cantrell and ask him?" They said, "He's your uncle. Call Uncle Jerry."
Call Uncle Jerry. When in doubt, call Uncle Jerry.
Run it down. He named it. He'll have a story. And Jerry said, sometimes there are dark and challenging times in life, and it may seem like they will never get better, meaning black. Things are very black. Mm-hmm. But if you stay strong and keep moving forward and look out on the horizon, you'll start to see a little point of light way out there. And slowly, the blackness that you're in and the black that you feel starts to give way to blue.
Very deep.
And so very interesting. That's what it gives way to. That's what it starts with. Elton John plays piano on that title track, Black Gives Way to Blue. It is an actual tribute to Lane Staley. Now, getting back to our point at the beginning, he said that's the way we operate in our lyrics. It's about what really happened in life. We're not a band that sings about fast cars and chicks. I loved it.
Exactly.
You know, they're not a Van Halen or Kiss. All their songs are sex, women, and rock and roll and fast cars. Sammy Hagar. It's about what things that have really happened in our life, and not a lot has happened since the last record. So it's on this record. It kind of catches up everybody, gets everyone caught up. The Check My Brain song. There's a song here, Andy, called Check My Brain. And you know what they do?
What?
The band loses Lane Staley. They all decide, the remaining characters, to sober up, get clean, and of all things, let's move to L.A.
Let's have an AA meeting at a bar, why don't you?
Usually that's the other way around. Your life gets hold of you. Things go belly up and you leave L.A. to clean yourself up. They named this song Check My Brain because that's exactly what they did. Someone check my brain because is this really happening? Am I moving to LA to get clean? That's exactly the lyrics of the song. I'm going to start. Some of these guys were getting married at the time, starting families. Jerry Cantrell has never been married, as far as I know, have never had any kids. But you know what? I'm going to get clean and move to Los Angeles, the cesspool of everything.
Yep.
So he says, I want you to check my brain. The last thing I got here on the notes before we get into the songs are Lane Staley, he said, always sang for Alice in Chains, but all the songs came from Jerry Cantrell. So Lane Staley did not do a lot of writing, composing, and lyrics. He was just the front man who sang them. These songs, those songs on those first 2 or 3 albums that are also very deep and also very personal, came from Jerry Cantrell and his background and his upbringing. And he goes, here you go, Lane, sing it. Lane's like, well, it's kind of awkward because these are very touchy subjects and you're making me sing about them. He always said that Lane Staley always gave me a lot of confidence to do that and sing more lead songs. He says, you've got a good voice. You can do this. Cantrell, always known for low self-esteem, always had trouble getting over the hump there about doing things like that. So this time he says, I attribute a lot of that to Lane, who always told me that I could do it. And I attribute a lot of that confidence to Lane Staley, basically saying, he said, dude, you got to fucking sing. These songs are your songs. And you write all this fucking great material. But they're personal to you. You should be the one effing singing them. He said, so I'm grateful for him to that. He basically sings all this. And Jerry Cantrell, believe it or not, he's got a tremendous voice. So here's the songs. All Secrets Known, song 1, All Secrets Known. This is once again about, they're letting things out of the hat there that they've kept down for many years. Check My Brain is song 2. Last of My Kind is song 3. That's a whole song dealing with lyrics of being in the Seattle grunge scene that has now left and gone away. They basically call themselves kind of the last of their generation, the last of my kind. Song 4 is Your Decision. Your Decision is a song written about Lane Staley and the crap that he put the band through for all these years. And basically it's admitting to say, you know what, we love you, but all this is your decision. You ruined your own life. We were there for the ride. We told you time and time again to back off, baby. Gotta get yourself clean. And the song is called Your Decision, basically calling him out, saying, we love you, but this is all these things. These were your decisions that you did. Song 5 is A Looking In View, kind of on the outside looking in. And when you read the lyrics to this, it's all about looking inside, basically in your head, in your mind. Song 6, When the Sun Rose Again. Song 7, Acid Bubble. This is typically your, I wouldn't call it your acid, or maybe your acid, LSD, or getting high song. But there's people that you, in the comments section on this video, that say, you listen to this song when you're high and you can lose your mind. You'll just melt. It's kind of like Comfortably Numb, Pink Floyd. Acid Bubble's a song just like that just takes you to a whole another level. Song 8 is called Lesson Learned. Once again, it's a song about Jerry Cantrell's dating life and how unsuccessful that's been his entire career. Another lesson learned. Song 9 is Take Her Out, another dating song. Him trying to get up the gumption to do this. Typically, Andy, we know with rock stars, it's it's all jock rock. It's all
Yeah.
people with massive egos. Any song by Kiss, David Lee Roth, is about how cool and how the best person that they are on the freaking planet. Jerry Cantrell's songs are all about this low self-confidence.
Yeah.
Trying to beef up his ego to just simply, why don't you just take her out? Song 10, Private Hell. Some have said that this song relates to Lane Staley and what the band was going through. This is not the case. The lyrics of Private Hell is a Jerry Cantrell lyric about a relationship he had that was going to blossom into something good. And at the last minute, he chickened out. He goes, I just can't go through with this. Now he looks back all these years later and says, you know what? That's probably the gal I should have been with how many years ago, and I screwed it up. And living through his private hell of all his doubts about that. Song 11 is the final title track. Black Gives Way to Blue, tribute to Staley. Now here's the personnel. Cantrell, lead, guitar, lead and backing vocals. William Duvall is the backing vocals guy, rhythm, a lot of singing as well. Mike Inez, we've talked about him, great bass player. And Sean Kinney on drums. So once again, the album you're seeing there, the cover is the heart. It's the heart. I'd like to take a look at it. The heart beating, black and blue. The heart pumps blood, and now it's going from black to blue. Everything was black. Now they have a little sight of blue on the horizon to take them to this this never-ending, decades-long getting their life back. About how impactful that Lane Staley was, that death, how impactful it was to these guys. Yeah, do you have anything else, Andy?
I got some stuff on Mike Inez.
Inez, yes, go for it.
Okay, first of all, before Alice was in Chains, he was with Ozzy Osbourne, performed with him.
Yeah, great bassist with Ozzy, with Mike Inez. He's been around a long time.
He was in Slash's Snake Pit, Slash's first solo band. He did stuff with Jerry Cantrell and his Spies for Darwin solo albums. From 2001 to 2004, he was in Black Label Society. And now here's where the hook comes in. The whole tribute, the working with Heart and everything else, because from 2002 to 2006, he was in Heart.
He was in Heart. Yes, that's right.
So, of course, when they work together, I've showed you the videos on YouTube. If you look it up, they do Barracuda. The guys are playing guitar, and with the exception of Mike, because he's done it before, Jerry Cantrell's like, oh my God, I'm playing next to Ann and Nancy Wilson, you know? It's like a kid at Christmas. So Mike Inez has been around. He wasn't just like started this band and then sat there and twiddled his thumbs for 7 years. He stayed busy. And one show I'd like to do one time, Dan, is how often do we talk about bands on here? And we'll pick an artist out and go, oh yeah, and they worked with Ozzy for a couple of years. You know,
there's a lot of them out there. Yes,
the tree of musicians have worked with Ozzy at one time. Now that he's done retiring, they'll have to be on our schedule for maybe a 2 or 3 part episode this summer. Guys who worked with Ozzy for at least a year, you know, or guys and gals.
It was a revolving door, you know. There,
and that's the thing about Ozzy. Like I was talking to head intern Lisa the other day. She goes, "Who's the drummer for Ozzy?" And I'm like, "Which album?" You know, it's like he's had a set band with him all the time. It's always been rotating guitars, rotating drummers, you know. And he's had great guitarists, J.K. Lee, Randy Rhoads, you know, Zakk Wylde. So awesome guys have always worked with Ozzy. But yeah, Mike Inez, very talented musician. He was actually toured with Heart for 4 years. So when that kind of helped that collaboration, with the groups from Seattle and charity work, they worked with Heart because he was kind of that hook between the two.
A lot of connections.
Yep. Very good band. Alice in Chains kind of got lost in the shuffle, in my opinion, when the grunge scene came out. It was all Nirvana and it was all Pearl Jam. It was all Soundgarden. And what's that other band again? Oh, yeah, Alice in Chains. They're like, no offense, the redheaded stepchild of the grunge scene. Everybody kind of forgot about them, you know. And here, really, they're the one band that's still around. To a point.
They're still crushing it, yes.
They're still very active, you know. Okay, yes. David Grohl is still doing stuff from Nirvana, but he's not doing it under the name Nirvana. You know, Soundgarden's not doing stuff under Soundgarden anymore. Pearl Jam, they think they're doing stuff, but what's the word I'm looking for? Pearl Jam sucks. That's the word I'm looking for. Their first album was great, but they put all that in that one basket, and everything after 10 has just been horrible. Maybe I'm just bitter because they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't know. But yes, Alice in Chains, very underrated band, lost in the shuffle with the grunge scene. Very highly recommended album. Yes, it came out in 2000. It's out of our format of having to be an 80s album, but they are an 80s band, so we'll go it that way.
The interesting thing is here, they had to do new things to help promote because everything was going digital back in 2009. Yeah. They released their single, digitally on a streaming to be able to download and stuff like that. But they know their audience. Now, Andy, you'll like this.
Yeah.
To help promote the album, they released an EKP featuring all 4 of the band members being interviewed while having Kiss makeup applied on them during the interview. And they did that because they've got a lot of cross-section of fans who are big Kiss fans as well.
Well, like I said, the one song that Elton John play on there. So that shows you right now that they're accepted by the music industry. They haven't pegged them as just a grunge band. Don't talk to them. Other musicians respect them too.
Yeah, the music videos here for these are really good. There's a lot of those. Interesting thing is in the liner notes to this CD, the liner notes, which each 4 band members all take the time to thank Lane Staley in the liner notes. They thank him, the late Lane Staley. So now here's the songs they released. And before I get, and this is the last thing I got is that's the songs they released. A Looking in View that hit number 12 in the mainstream rock. A Looking in View. Then they did Check My Brain, which hit number 1. They released Your Decision that hit number 1. They released Lesson Learned that hit number 4. So this did not go platinum. This is gold in the U.S. They sold over a million records worldwide, but not in the U.S. It's not a platinum. It's not an everyday album or a CD that you're going to hear a lot about on the mainstream. It's 54 minutes and 12 seconds long.
Yeah, it's just an hour of rock and roll, man.
And they recorded it at the old Foo Fighters location, Studio 606 in California. They got in there with Dave Grohl and said, let's jump in there and use your recording studio for this. That's all I've got on the album. Good stuff. I do like it. I listened to it again here this week. And good stuff. Powerful stuff. Very, very heavy. Just if you are a fan of the guitar and listen to Jerry Cantrell's licks, the licks and he plays a G&L custom-made guitar that G&L makes for him specifically, called I think the Rampage. Unreal.
And the only thing I got for concerts, Dan, is they're not an Alice in Chains tribute band locally you're going to soon.
They're not?
There is an Alice in Chains tribute band?
Yes,
locally?
Yes.
And you're going soon, are you not?
There's a band called Mad Alice.
Yep.
And it's an Alice in Chains and also a cross between Mad Season.
Yep.
They're coming up. I'd like to see one of their shows yet. There was one here over the Christmas holidays that I missed, but I wanted to see them. That would be very good. I think, once again, those would be tough. Tough sound to get to be that similar. But that's what we've got for the album of the week. We'll be back next week with another one here on Thursday. And
don't forget the pattern this month.
We got to look at the pattern.
Track of the artists and the albums this month and see if you can find the similarity.
There'll be 4 album reviews. All have a similar theme. We want the answer at the end of the month of February.
Put it in the comments below if you get it figured out.
Awesome.
All right, that's all I got, buddy.
All right, have a good weekend.
See ya.
See ya.